A lot of you folks have asked us about the total weather insurance. It's been around for about the last 5 years. It's totally different than your crop insurance. There's no subsidies. It works off of weather perils. You don't have to insure every acre in a county. You may be able to take a farm that's in your enterprise units that's a little bit lighter, maybe a little bit more marginal than the rest of your operation, and put some extra coverage on there to help you benefit from some weather events that maybe would adversely affect that specific farm. Works off of National Weather Service data. There's no yields to report. There is acres to report at the initial onset of it, and then from there it's just a matter of what happens with the weather. We've got some different perils. The first peril is excessive moisture. Second perils are drought, nighttime heat stress, daytime heat stress, and low heat units and freeze. What does that mean? Let's look at two things. Let's look at daytime heat stress. We'll pick out the home farm on your operation. We'll put total weather coverage on that home farm. When you talk about a peril such as daytime heat stress, what it's designed is during a time frame, and this year they've added in your maturity of your hybrids to try to pair the events with the relative maturity of your hybrids on those specific farms. And so during the daytime heat stress, which is somewhere right in there to almost full maturity, any day that it is recorded in a 2.5 by 2.5 mile grid, they utilize 2.5 by 2.5 mile grids, that the temperature is recorded to be over 93 degrees, then they will pay you accordingly. So if tomorrow it's 95, you've got 2 degrees that's over your threshold, that's a loss situation. If the next day it's 93, 0. The next day it's 97, 4. So you start accumulating those degree days, and then you're paid accordingly according to how the policy's set up. Nighttime heat stress would be the same way. If that threshold is 70 degrees, then any day that the temperature doesn't go below 70 degrees is a loss situation with this product. So it's a different spin than what we're used to. There's been some success with the product out there. I like it when you can try to supplement it with your multi-peril. It works really well. Something else to consider with the total weather, maybe if you've got a high-risk farm, that's something that we can look at putting that on where your rates may not be the same as some of your other farms. And with the potential of a possible drought, maybe that's something to add a little extra coverage. We still and have always had crop hail coverage. Remember, it's the one thing that covers fire in a field. If it was caused by your combine or by a neighbor with trash that was burning and got out in the field and caught it on fire. The only thing your multi-peril coverage covers, fire by lightning. I also like a little bit of hail coverage if you have got enterprise units, say on soybeans. All those farms are in a basket. If that one farm gets hit with a hailstorm and the production suffers on it greatly, the rest of your farms may do well enough to keep you from a loss. So a way to give you a little extra coverage, an example, Macon County, I think it's 45 cents per $100 of coverage, and it's $1.07, I believe, in Macon County on soybeans. So $400 or $500 coverage, you're talking about $4 or $5 an acre. Enterprise Plus, remember last year this was a new product. It was available to farm credit agents. It allowed us to put individual coverage inside of an enterprise unit policy. It was add-on, it's outside of the federal crop program, but it was something that if you had that one field that maybe didn't fit the mold of the rest of your farms, it would allow you to buy enterprise coverage and then buy some individual coverage at one level or 2 levels less than your overlaying multi-peril policy. So if I had an 85% enterprise policy, I could buy an 80% enterprise plus policy and then insure my fields as I grouped, depending on how you group them together, at say an 80% level. Works very well if you've Again, if you get a little bit of individual coverage inside of that enterprise policy. I'm not going to go through this slide in its entirety, but remember, anytime you have a claim, to give Diane or I a call. That corn crop goes in the ground, insurance attaches. So if you want to replant, give us a call, let us know, and that way we've got it on record, and the adjuster may say, yes, I've been in your area, I've seen other farms, go ahead and replant, or leave me a strip. So just before you do anything, give us a call. We had a lot of folks this year that chop silage that had never chopped silage before. We need to know that before you do something. We need to know about it before you do something to the crop. The last thing I guess we will talk about is changes. If you're making changes to your entity, if you were a corporation and you're going to go back to partnerships, it goes back to that claim discussion that we had. It's got to match up. It's got to be identical to how you market the grain. If you're going to change shares or anything of that nature, we need to know. Accuracy is very important.